Hi guys, this is Yogesh and you're watching Techmagnifier. Today we are having Mr. Livingstone. He's a renowned name in the gaming industry and he's an author, entrepreneur and a worldwide personality. So welcome to Techmagnifier. And I believe your journey has started with the game workshop way back in 1975.
That's right.
And now you're associated with Adobe. So, can you please tell us your journey so far?
It's been a long journey, but a very enjoyable journey. Games have always been my life, and in the very early days I always wanted to turn my passion of playing games into a business of making them. And I started a company called Games Workshop in 1975, as you correctly say, with an old school friend of mine called Steve Jackson. We launched Dungeons & Dragons in Europe in a very small way, and it was very tough back in those days. We had to live in a van for 4 months, couldn't get finance for it, and we ended up opening our own shops because other retailers didn't want to start this sort of strange game, which was a role-playing game. It was the first game in which the players became heroes as wizards and fighters and clerics exploring dungeons in a Tolkien-esque world, fighting monsters and killing treasure. It was like instant theatre, and it's kind of released your imagination as you do this conversational approach to playing games. It's a very difficult concept to tell people, but Games Workshop grew by word of mouth, and we opened more stores, and we launched White Dwarf magazine to promote the hobby. We opened up a factory to make the miniature figures that you painted up in the games to represent yourself in the games. And then we launched other brands after Dungeons & Dragons like Warhammer, Space Hulk, etc. At the same time, we wanted to take the hobby to a much wider audience, so we came up with the Fighting Fantasy game book idea, which was a game book for a single player.
So talking about Fighting Fantasy, did you always wanted to write on games or it just happened?
Well, I'd been the editor of White Dwarf since 1977. So
how was the experience overall?
Yeah, I enjoy writing. I didn't realise how much fun it was, and writing Fighting Fantasy game books, which again I did with Steve Jackson, was challenging because when you're writing a non-linear script, you've got to keep a record of all the possible outcomes of the storyline. So this was branching narrative with a game system attached to it.
So coming back to games, like whenever we talk about Tomb Raider, it's more of a great storyline, amazing graphics, action. So tell us something about the latest in this version.
Well, Tomb Raider, as you know, goes back to 1996 when we launched the first one. And over the years, there's been various sequels. But when we get to 2013, we have to make sure that Tomb Raider is relevant to the audiences of today. So Crystal Dynamics, who were the developers of this Tomb Raider, had complete creative control and autonomy. They did some thinking and analysis and said, well, they'd seen how Batman and James Bond had been really successful recently by rebooting the franchise, and they thought we should perhaps apply that to Tomb Raider. So go for a prequel instead of yet another sequel.
Okay.
And at the same time, the fans were writing in saying they wanted to know more about the early years of Lara Croft. So an origin story seemed to make good sense. So this is a game about survival, action and adventure, but keeping to the three pillars of Tomb Raider, which are exploration and adventuring, plus puzzle solving, plus combat. But this generation of consoles allows a sort of cinematic, interactive experience of very intense graphics. So if you've got intense realism, Lara Croft had to have intense realism. So you look at her now, she's no longer armor plated, she can be injured. And in survival, you're often put into extreme circumstances. So at some point in the game, she has to decide whether she's going to kill or be killed. So she learns, you as Lara Croft learn a lot about yourself, because we all imagine what it's like to be on an island and how would we survive ourselves. So it's a fantastic emotional experience, very strong
In
storyline.
terms of graphics, in terms of storyline you have told, but in terms of graphics, how is it different from the earlier versions?
Well, this game has been a long time in development, so to make it the best game it could possibly be. And the graphics, I think, are second to none. If you see what people are saying on the web about it, they're saying it's the game of this generation of console hardware. So you've got every last piece of functionality out of the set-top boxes that exist today. And we use the environment to create incredible special effects. Water and fire play a big part in this game. There's role-playing elements. She can gain experience from performing certain actions in the game. She can use role-playing elements for leveling up weaponry. So if she has a simple stick with a dagger tied to it, she can upgrade that weapon by finding a metal bar through salvaging around the island.
There are a lot more things that
There's a lot more you can do, yeah. So there's intense action all the way through the game. There's no downtime.
And so how is the gaming industry doing globally? Like, if you can...
The games industry is expanding extraordinarily, unlike any other entertainment industry. If you look at the revenues today, it's $50 billion a year in software sales alone. That's going to rise to $90 billion by 2015. There's been a certain amount of consolidation and polarization of the market in the consoles, but at the same time, the casual games market has exploded. Hundreds of millions of people are now playing games on Facebook. Everyone's carrying a portable device around their pocket, a smartphone, which are games-enabled connected devices. So people who didn't ordinarily think they were games players are games players. So, you know, my wife wasn't a big games player, but now I can play Words with Friends with her on a tablet, you know, wherever I am in the world. You know, I can go home and play FIFA with my sons, or have a single, or I'll play, you know, Deus Ex or Tomb Raider, or play games on Facebook like Village Life. You know, there's something there for everybody. The hardcore gamer, the old gamer, the young gamer, the male or female gamer. There's something for everybody now.
And what about India? What do you think? Like, where's gaming industry going now?
Well, as a market, it's growing. I think a couple of problems we've had in the past is that there's been a big piracy problem on PCs and some console games. I think the games on console have been too expensive relative to the average income of the Indian consumer. But these things are changing. It's an emerging market. As a resource, there's some fantastic creative companies here. But I think the world has seen India as an outsourcing destination rather than the full production. And that will change, I think, when Indian development companies, with regards to their original content, don't just address the local markets. Even though 1.2 billion people is an awful lot of people to serve, of course not all of them are online and not all of them have got smartphones, but it's still a big domestic market. I think they've got to look at the sort of creativity and the culture beyond India. And also a lot of software development only addresses business software, so making financial services packages or building databases has been the strength of the Indian development community. But you know, if they think a bit more globally, they can get into the entertainment software, because you've got fantastic tool animation and digital companies here. It's just combining the sort of creativity animation with the resource of the business software developers, and try and create some entertainment software on a bigger scale.
And so we have a gaming community on our website. So where people are asking what is next from Eidos they should expect, like more games, or there's something else that Eidos would be offering in future?
I think that the basic philosophy of Eidos is something which I carry through from Games Workshop, which is original content, original intellectual property. We've never taken licenses. And I'm delighted that our new owners, Square Enix, also have the same philosophy with titles like Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest. So it's great, there's a meeting of minds in that department. So I think you can look to more titles that are original. You know, more recently we released Sleeping Dogs, which is a huge success. And I think it's nice to innovate with original content, because the consumers like to see as much original content as much as they enjoy, you know, sequels and prequels of existing franchises.
That's nice. Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you for your time, and it was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
My pleasure.